Jaya Radha Madhava Jati Hare Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Jasodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Muskira Follow Jasodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Srimad, His Divine Grace, Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Uvaraki, ISKCON Founder-Acharya Prabhupada ki, Patita Pavana, save the fallen souls, Sri Prabhupada ki, Jayam Vishnu Pan Paramahamsa Parivajrakacharya Das Srimad, His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Swami Maharaj Uvaraki, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Paramsakaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shama Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Mayapur Dham ki jai, Navadip Dham ki jai, Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamana Mai ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gora Premananda. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prestaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine, Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine. We have many people all over the world were wanting to come on, but the internet is no good out here. So we lost a big audience that just was tuning in today on the internet. But we're here. So it's okay. Anybody have a flashlight? Let's see here.
Flashlight. Yeah, she has.
Okay, good. Yes. Is there a specific verse that you all wanted to speak on today? No? Okay. One 6:22. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, chapter number 6, text number 22. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Sakrit Yat Darshitam Rupam Etat Kamaya Te Anaga Mat Kama Shanakai Sadhu Sarvan Munchati Hrichayan Sakridyadarshitam Rupam Sakridyadarshitam Rupam Etat Kamayate Naga Etat Kamayate Naga Matkama Shanakai Sadhu Matkama Shanakai Sadhu Sarvan Munchati Hrichayan Sarvan Munchati Hrichayan. Let's try one more time and get on. Sakridyat darshitam rupam Etat kamayate naga Matkama sanakai sadhu Matkama sanakai sadhu Sarvam munchati hrichayan Sarvam munchati hrichayan Sakridyat darshitam rupam Sakridyat darshitam rupam Etat kamayate nagaha Etat kamayate nagaha Matkama sanakai sadhu Matkama sanakai sadhu Sarvan munchati hrichayan Sarvan munchati hrichayan. Sakrit once only Yat that Darshitam shown Rupam form Etat this is Kamaya for hankerings Te your Anaka O virtuous one Mat mine Kama desire Shanakai by increasing Sadhu devotee Sarvan all Munchati gives away Hrichayan material desires. O virtuous one, you have only seen once my person, and this is just to increase your desire for me, because the more you hanker for me, the more you will be freed from all material desires. Purport. A living being cannot be vacant of desires. He is not a dead stone. He must be working, thinking, feeling, and willing. But when he thinks and wills materially, he becomes entangled. And conversely, when he thinks, feels, and wills for the service of the Lord, he becomes gradually freed from all entanglement. The more a person is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, the more he acquires a hankering for it. That is the transcendental nature of godly service. Material service has satiation, whereas spiritual service of the Lord has neither satiation nor end. One can go on increasing his hankerings for the loving, transcendental service of the Lord, and yet he will not find satiation or end. By intense service of the Lord, one can experience the presence of the Lord transcendentally. Therefore, seeing the Lord means being engaged in His service, because His service and His person are identical. The sincere devotee should go on with sincere service of the Lord. The Lord will give proper direction as to how and to where it has to be done. There was no material desire in Narada, and yet just to increase his intense desire for the Lord, he was so advised. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Jata Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shri Shahagana Raganutan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Varijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitam Scha Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Svaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So, it is not possible for the living entity to become inactive. The Mayavadi philosophers, they want to stop all activity. But even if they're sitting and meditating, they're still breathing. And with every breath, they're killing so many microbial germs. So your karma goes on. As long as even trying to be inactive, you can't really be inactive. It's not possible. But if one can act transcendentally, then he becomes liberated. The souls in the spiritual world are very, very active. They're doing so many things. They're hearing, they're speaking, they're going here, going there. So many things they're doing. So spiritual perfection does not mean to become inactive. Spiritual perfection means to become very, very active in Krishna's service. Just see how active was Srila Prabhupada, circling the globe so many times, very, very active. So this is our Krishna consciousness movement, to always be moving, never to become stationary. Moving forward in Krishna consciousness. Every day, how can I advance myself more in Krishna consciousness? How can I develop more taste for the name? How can I develop more taste for hearing? How can I develop more taste for serving? How can I develop more of a humble learning mood? Sometimes as neophyte devotees, we're not in a humble learning mood. If someone corrects us, we become defensive. What do you mean? You see. Our false ego gets in the way, you see. But that's nothing but misery. The more you hold on to this false sense, I am great, the more you become miserable. The more you can let go of it and develop a humble learning mood, the more you become happy in Krishna consciousness. The devotee is correctable, you see. He's always willing to be corrected, because he knows he's a rascal, fool, number one. I came to this material world out of a stupid desire to imitate the Lord, and that consciousness has not yet left me. You see, I'm still polluted by that consciousness, wanting to be the Lord. So a devotee corrects me, oh, you're not doing this correctly. This is how it should. Why are you doing it like this? That's not correct. I shouldn't be defensive. I should be grateful. Oh, thank you very much. You're helping me to become purified, freed of my false sense of greatness. So this is a very important thing, to always have this humble learning mood. That will make us strong in Krishna consciousness. Even in the Bible, the same thing is confirmed. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. That person is always willing to learn, you see. I think I know everything, then I can't grow anymore. I can't grow spiritually. So the more I understand that I need to learn, that's the person who will become very, very advanced very quickly in Krishna consciousness. The person who always has that learning mood. Please instruct me. See, that's the you see Arjuna, you see. Karpanya dosho pahata shabhava prashammitvang dharma samudacheta yat shrayam sannishchitan bruhi namme shashashtehang shadimang navang pramanam. Now I'm confused about my duty. I've lost all composure due to miserly weakness. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me clearly what is best for me. Now I am your disciple and the soul surrendered unto you. Please instruct me. You see the mood? We have to learn from Arjuna to be in that humble mood. Please instruct me. Please instruct me. Are we greater than Arjuna? We don't require to be instructed? Oh, I'm greater than Arjuna. No. Arjuna is millions of times greater than we are, but he's saying, please instruct me. But that was Krishna, one might say. Certainly if I was with Krishna, I would say, please instruct me. But, with a devotee, that's different. Oh, wait a minute. That's not what Krishna says. Krishna says, if you want to be my devotee, ye me bhakta jana parta na me bhakta sthite jana mad bhaktanam chiye bhaktas te me bhakta tamamata. If you want to be my devotee, you have to become the devotee of my devotee. He says, the one who is my devotee, na me bhaktas, he's not my devotee. But the devotee of my devotee, he is my devotee. So you want to be a devotee of Krishna? You want to be a devotee of Krishna?
Yes.
Then you must become the devotee of Krishna. Otherwise Krishna will never accept you. Never. He wants to see how much you are devoted to his devotees. He wants you to have a spiritual master that you fully surrender to. He wants you to be a loving part of the spiritual family. Taking instructions from devotees and learning how to become more humble, how to become more expert in one's service. Always in that mood of learning and growing, understanding I'm imperfect. If someone corrects me, they're helping me to become perfect. I'm grateful to them. This person has shown me a mistake, I'm doing something wrong. This person has shown me how much I'm indebted to that person. How much I must feel grateful to that person. Not, why are you correcting me? Angry at them or something like that. No, grateful. This person is going out of their way to take the time and trouble to instruct me how to advance Krishna consciousness. This is very, very sublime purport. One really profound point coming out of here is the more a person is engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, the more he acquires a hankering for it. Well, someone may say, but I don't really have that much of a taste for devotional service. What's my hope of getting out of the material world? I don't have much of a taste for service. I just want to eat, sleep, mate and defend. I don't feel so much of a taste for, doing service. Well, the good news is, just do some service. Understand this is the medicine you need to cure yourself of the material disease. Just step forward and volunteer to do some service. And by doing that, well, it wasn't so bad after all. When I was a kid, my mother asked me to do some service. It was like pulling my teeth out, see? Vacuum the floor, take out the garbage, like, At least growing up in America, that was our culture, Nobody wants to do any service. Only if you get paid money for doing it, If you pay me some money, I'll mow the lawn. It was that kind of a mood. wasn't a mood of service growing up in American culture. But here now, Prabhupada engaged us in doing service and didn't pay us any money, and we loved it, you see. Because now we're not serving on the material platform for sense gratification, which is a dead-end street. Now we're doing service which is liberating us from the cycle of birth and death. So one should not see devotional service in some mundane way. One should see here is an opportunity to get out of the cycle of birth and death, to get back to my original constitutional nature as a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this way, if one has a transcendental vision of what is devotional service, then you can actually relish sweet ecstasy simply by, washing a pot. Can you imagine tasting transcendental bliss by washing a pot? But that's what happens in devotional service. It's mystical. It's transcendental. Any activity done in the service of Krishna is beyond three modes of material nature. So we have to just, have faith in this, and we just have to step forward and do it. And then the result will be there. Our Krishna consciousness will become awakened, will become liberated from all the sufferings of material existence. If there's any questions, that can be passed forward now. Okay, here we go. For one is receiving the correction, the humble mood is required. What should be the mood of the one who is giving the correction? Actually, the only person who's really qualified to give correction is the one who knows how to take correction. If someone is not able to take correction, they're not qualified to give correction. The one who is qualified to give correction has to be the most humble. So, the more you become humble to take corrections, you become more qualified to give corrections. In other words, one who is expert, he is qualified to give corrections. You have to know what's right and what's wrong, and you have to have the humble mood also. But that doesn't mean that it's like, can you please, we shouldn't judge, they're not correcting me in a humble way. Can you please kindly, wash that pot? Someone says, wash the pot. You say, well, you're not instructing me in a humble way. No, it's not like that. The instruction may come, you shouldn't judge, well, they're not instructing me in a humble way, therefore it's not bona fide. The instruction has to be given. Sometimes instruction is like a cutting blade, cutting through our anarthas. The instruction may be given in a very sharp way. It's like a sharp knife, cutting through our false pride and our illusion. So don't try to judge the person who's giving you the correction. That's not the proper mood. Prabhupada can be very heavy giving instructions. Even seemingly very angry also, but actually that was his teaching method. So it's not that we should judge the person who's giving the correction. We should see how I can properly take the correction. That's the proper move. Can you please explain how to develop the quality of compassion? What are the different schools of thought, of Vaishnava schools of thought? Why the difference? Well, that's another question. Compassion means to feel sad to see other people are suffering. A demon, he will take pleasure in seeing the sufferings of others. It's like one godbrother, he told me, his parents were materialists. They were sitting out in the backyard on Long Island, suburbs of New York City, sipping martinis. And his mother said to the husband, "I wonder how the poor people are doing today." You see, that's a mood of, like, they call it snotty, a puffed up mood. Yes, we're enjoying poor people, yeah. But we're situated very comfortably. No, that's not the mood of compassion. Means to feel very sorry. Oh, these people are suffering. How horrible that is. Something must be done to help the people from the suffering. Lord Chaitanya is an ocean of compassion, so one should feel sorry to see the suffering of others and want to do something about it. That's why we preach Krishna consciousness. You see, a preacher means someone who has compassion. He doesn't want to see people in suffering. He can look out, he can see the faces, how people are covered by the modes of nature. And he wants to do something to pull them out of the modes of nature, to bring them to the transcendental platform. So how to develop the mood of compassion, the quality, just act compassionately. Even if you don't feel any compassion, follow, because if Prabhupada feels compassion, just act dutifully under Prabhupada's instruction to spread Krishna consciousness to others. In that way, even though you may not feel it yet, you're actually acting on the sake of compassion, because you're acting on Prabhupada's compassion. If you act as a servant of Srila Prabhupada to give Krishna to others, then that is a compassionate act, even if you don't feel it. But by doing that, just like we read in the purport, that by engaging in devotional service, the more you do it, the more you develop a taste for it. So if you act compassionately, when you act in a way that would be an act of compassion, if you don't feel it, the feeling will come. The feelings of compassion will come. So always try to help others become Krishna conscious. And even if you don't feel the compassion, that compassion will naturally awaken within you as you engage more and more in helping other people to become Krishna conscious. Why are there different Vaishnava schools of thought? Actually, there's only one Vaishnava school of thought, and that is surrender to Krishna. Now, if someone, there are pseudo-Vaishnavas who have different viewpoints, but actually that's, true Vaishnavas have one viewpoint, and that is we must fully surrender to Krishna. Those who are not in that mood may claim to be Vaishnavas and have so many different moods, but actually there's only one mood, that is we have to fully surrender to Krishna. How does a devotee prepare for second initiation? Just follow your initiation vows very seriously. When I went for second initiation with Prabhupada, he simply asked me, he said, "You're chanting 16 rounds regularly?" That's what he wanted to know. I said, "Oh yes." He gave me the thrill. So the most important thing is to chant your rounds regularly.
But now, isn't it nowadays that there is a requirement from the temple authorities also?
Whatever, then ask your temple authority what they require for a second initiation. A Brahmin means you should be learned. Because Brahmin means you're a teacher. A Brahmin is the guru of the human society. It means you should have some knowledge of the philosophy, being able to preach nicely, learn some verses. These are things a Brahmin is expected to do. Expected to be able to give nice classes. He's a teacher. He's a Brahmana, means a teacher. So you should become learned in the philosophy. You should be clean, bathe regularly, at least Brahman-based 3 times a day, Prabhupada said, or at least twice a day, he prays. So Brahman means clean also, suchi. Does the devotee ask, or does the guru offer? Devotees should be eager to. All the devotees should go for second initiation as soon as possible. We need Brahmins for puja and also for preaching. All the devotees should go forward for Brahman initiation. Actually, when Prabhupada was here, it was automatic. First initiation after 6 months. Brahman initiation after the second 6 months. It was just a standard thing. Everybody did it. First initiation, second initiation. Everybody. So I want all the devotees, especially my disciples, I want all of them to become Brahmins as soon as possible. Why Krishna has made the material energy very powerful? Actually, you have made it powerful. Prabhupada told us, told one hippie actually, he came to our lecture in New Vrindavan, Prabhupada giving a lecture. He said, the hippie said, if our purpose is to go back to Godhead, why is Maya so strong? Prabhupada said, because your purpose is not strong. So actually Maya is, you have made Maya strong because your determination to go back to Godhead is weak. But actually Maya will facilitate your going back to God. When she sees that your desire to go back to God is strong, Maya will back off and just help you advance in Krishna consciousness. If you're not strong in your desire, then Maya will be strong. You have made Maya strong by your lack of determination. That's the answer. How do we know that Krishna is reciprocating with all living beings, including non-devotees? Because he says so. That's how, you know. Yeyata mang prapadyante tang shataya bhajamyaham. Inasmuch as they surrender to me and reward them accordingly. So everybody gets reciprocation. Actually, Krishna's desire is that all living entities should come back to him as soon as possible. So every situation that's happening to every single living entity at every minute is actually for that purpose. Every situation is simply to help that living entity come back to Krishna as soon as possible. If a person is not surrendered to Guru, but chanting the names of Krishna with love, will still the potency of Krishna enrich him and save him. What does love mean? Does love simply mean a sentiment, or does love mean obedience and service? I tell my wife, I really love you. And she says, I'm really sick tonight. Can you do the dishes? No, I'm going bowling with the guys tonight. You wash the dishes. But I really love you. You see? Love means service. You're willing to serve someone and help them. That's true love, you see. So, how you can say that you love Krishna if you don't obey Krishna? Krishna says that you have to have a spiritual master. Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnanenas tattvadarshinaha. Krishna says you have to have a spiritual master. It's right there in the Mundaka Upanishad also. Tadviganartam sagarumeva vigatschat. That is the vidi lind form of the verb. There's the verb go, gachi, gachati, gachanti, gachchat. The gachchat is the vidi lind form. Gachati, he goes. Gachanti, they go. Gachchat must go. So Krishna, the Vedic wisdom says you must go to the spiritual master if you want to realize that truth, that transcendental knowledge. You must go to the spiritual master. It's compulsory. You say, well, but not for me, I'm an exception. No, you're a rascal. If you think you can disobey the Vedic injunctions and realize God, you're swimming in ignorance. You'll never do it. If you want to realize God, you have to follow the Vedic injunctions. Are the are the Hare Krishna devotees, always in a transcendental situation, even in the material world in their daily activities. If you're actually a Hare Krishna devotee, you're always transcendentally situated. Hare Krishna devotee means one who's devoted to Krishna. He's always serving Krishna with his thoughts, words, and deeds. What if I'm supposed to be a Hare Krishna devotee, but I'm not always a Hare Krishna devotee? That's another thing. But Hare Krishna devotee means one who's devoted to Krishna. So one who's devoted to Krishna, he only does for Krishna. He only thinks for Krishna. He only speaks for Krishna. He only acts for Krishna. He has no interest except Krishna, Krishna, Krishna. And he's always transcendently situated. While listening the lecture yesterday, I heard that Krishna got Ashtashakis to serve. Why he doesn't have any Sakha to serve in the spiritual world. There's so many cowherd boys. There's Sakis and Sakha. There's so many cowherd boys who are serving Krishna in the spiritual world. In the Shikshastakam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, even if he handles me roughly by his embrace, how can the embrace be rough? So, even if Krishna gives me give me a hard time, apparently a hard time. He puts me in a difficult situation. Just like Prabhupada on the boat, he had 2 heart attacks on the boat. That's called a rough embrace. 2 heart attacks on the boat. He's simply surrendering to his spiritual master's order. He comes to America. On the way, he almost dies on the boat. Prabhupada said, I thought if a pain comes like that a 3rd time, I will not survive. That's how heavy it was. He almost killed him. That's called a rough embrace. You see. In the purport, it is said that the Lord will give directions how and where to do devotional service. Can you please explain what it means? He gives instruction through the scripture. He gives instruction through the spiritual master. He gives instruction through the Vaishnavas. And for those who are fully surrendered to the scripture, the spiritual master, and the Vaishnavas, he also gives direct instructions within the heart. So if you want to get to that position where you can get instruction from in the heart, then become completely submissive to the scripture, the guru, and the Vaishnavas. And by that submission to the external manifestations of Krishna, that day will come when you can directly hear Krishna within your heart instructing you. But you have to take the external, fully surrender the external manifestations before you qualify for that special guidance from within. Does the spiritual master find the disciple, or is it the duty of the disciple to find his spiritual master? If you're actually, Prabhupada told those boys in New York, the first boys, the 26th eminent, that when you're sincere, then the Guru will find you. Actually, it happened. 2 of the boys, who became later on Hayagriva and Kirtanananda, they went to India looking for a guru, and actually they got it. They went on the Jaladuta, if you can imagine. They got a job. They were, got a job in the Jaladuta. They got a free passage. They're working in the Jaladuta, and they didn't find any guru because they weren't really ready for it yet. You see, they came back to America, and now they're really ready. And then Prabhupada showed up in their neighborhood. So when you're actually really ready for a spiritual master, Krishna will send him to you when you're really ready. So just be very sincere that I must fully surrender to God. I must find the means of how to become fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord. And then Krishna will send the spiritual master to you. After having prasad or mahaprasadam, for doing chanting, do we have to wash or clean our hands, mouth, or no? Well, if you just pop some maha in your mouth, then if you touch your mouth, you definitely have to wash. If you just pop a little maha in your mouth, then you're still considered clean. But after sitting and taking prasadam, you should definitely wash. But sometimes, you just get a little piece of maha prasadam, you throw it in you just toss it in your mouth without touching your mouth, then you're still clean. If your hand touches your mouth, you're dirty, you got to wash your hand. Following blindly is condemned. But for someone who is not yet a devotee, how do you reach a level of belief sufficient to follow him, or meaning Krishna? Well, we have to educate people. What is the science of God? It's very simple. We have all these books. What are they for? To gather dust on the bookshelf. You see all these books over there. It's a whole elaborate science. Very, very elaborate science. So read these books. Every spare minute, read these books. Hear the lectures. Attend the classes. This is the most sophisticated, advanced science anywhere in the whole universe. So study this science of bhakti. Become highly learned in this science. And then you will act out of knowledge to realize the supreme truth. There's an initiate and there's a disciple. There's two things. Every initiate should be a disciple. An initiate is somebody who's taken the vows, unless he's keeping the vows and actually following the vows, he's not really a disciple. You see, you can't be a disciple. If Prabhupada said disciple means discipline. Someone who actually follows the instructions of the spiritual master, continues to try to please him with his thoughts, words, and deeds, in all times, places, and circumstances. He's a disciple. But otherwise, if you just get initiated and you're not really trying to please your spiritual master, you're an initiate only, you're not a disciple. So every initiate should be a disciple also. Being an initiate will not deliver you from the cycle of birth and death. If you want to become delivered, you have to become a disciple, a true disciple. One who actually disciplines his thoughts, words, and deeds for the pleasure of Guru and Krishna in all times, places, and circumstances. It's a very serious commitment. And that one who soberly makes that commitment and sincerely tries to do that becomes liberated. They become free of all anxieties of material existence. They really do. The material modes of nature can't touch them. They become impervious to the modes. One who merely makes that commitment that I belong to my spiritual master and everything my whole life is for him. My every thought, my every word, my every deed must be for his pleasure. Disciples who don't do that, who, they don't, it's described in the Bhagavad Gita, 16:23. If one is not strictly following the Vedic injunctions, which in the three most important Vedic injunctions are take shelter of Guru, get initiated by Guru, and obey the spiritual master. If one is not strictly following Vedic injunctions, as described in the Bhagavad Gita, there's no success in life, there's no happiness, what to speak of going back to home, back to Godhead. So one has to be very dedicated to this principle, strictly following the Vedic injunctions. And that's how you become successful. Somebody who really endeavors to the best of sincerely to the best of their ability, they're guaranteed success. They're guaranteed to be able to see Krishna face to face in due course of time and regain their original identity in his pastimes. So you want the results, it's there waiting for you, but you have to qualify yourself by full surrender. If you want to surrender partially, you're not going to get the full result. Krishna can see how much you're surrendering to him. and he rewards you accordingly to your degree of surrender. So you have to decide what degree of reward you would like, and that's how much you have to surrender. If you want to receive the full reward of spiritual perfection. Actually, these children should learn to sit and hear. The young age is the best age for learning. They'll be walking in and out of the room, they're not even hearing. They're missing the whole point. The children are they get the most benefit by sitting and hearing. The trick is you put them in your lap and make them feel loved. So actually for them to be walking in and out is not very proper etiquette. They should be sitting and hearing. Okay, so we'll stop here, and then we'll have our next schedule is, let's see. We have our next program beginning lecture number 10:15. So we'll look forward to seeing you all back here. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.